Hey you, day 2. This is our second video of discussing just random topics that we come up with on my Twitch chat, twitch.tv/Elly. And today's topics are a little bit interesting. We're going to talk about, are MMOs worth playing? Are they dying? The future MMOs, Arcade, Chrono Odyssey, Blue Protocol, IN2, and AOC, Ashes of Creation. Is flirting, cheating, or complimenting a neighbor, or watching, prawn, is that considered cheating? Does bullying work? I don't know if we're gonna discuss this one. I just wrote a topic down. Anti-woke versus woke. This one is a bit longer, and we could probably leave this one for another day. The whole anti-woke versus woke stuff is very much a topic of discussion nowadays, and it probably needs a whole 1 hour segment by itself to really give you my full commentary. But anyways, let's begin this topic. Here we go. Are MMOs worth playing? Are they dying? The future of MMOs. Arcade, Chrono Odyssey, Blue Protocol, IN2, and Ashes of Creations. Or some would say scam. Scamming. Are MMOs worth playing, or are they dying? I think any video game is worth playing if that is your genre that you prefer. You know, there are still a lot of people, especially older people, that still enjoy MMOs. I believe the demographic of an MMO is a little bit on the older side. If I had to best guess, I would say around their 30s to like 50 plus. Are the majority of MMO enjoyers nowadays. Because it's such a slow-paced game genre. It is not one that is super dopamine heavy, and it just seems like it's a little bit too slow for Zoomers nowadays, especially with PvP kind of fading away in these genres. PvP is not the most favored mechanic or mode in MMOs, unfortunately, or fortunately. It's just not. So, that's the one thing that Zoomers really try to sink their talents in. It's the PvP, and MMOs just don't really offer that in PvP anymore. Rarely is there an MMO that really heavily focuses on PvP and stays true to it and has really good PvP without a very minimal complaining. That doesn't really exist in MMOs anymore. You guys can try to point out Throne of Liberty here and there. There's no wonder the game is dying. So if you're trying to say, oh my god, Elly, you're so wrong, PvP is still really great. No, it's not. Point one MMO that is surviving because of PvP. You're not going to be able to point one out. Sure, you have a little bit of PvP and old school RuneScape. Sure, you have a little bit of PvP in World of Warcraft, BDO still, Throne of Liberty, New World maybe. But the amount of PvP players, it just fell in comparison to the amount of PvE enjoyers and people who enjoy PvE over that. I'm not going to discuss PvP versus PvP anymore. I'll probably leave that for tomorrow, where we could discuss PvP and MMOs. But right now we're discussing, are MMOs worth playing? I think if you like a bit more slower gameplay and stuff, MMOs are great for you and they're worth playing. Sure. Are MMOs dying? Yes, I do think an MMO is a dying genre. There's little innovation in MMOs. It's the same wheel that we've had for 30 years now with EverQuest and some of the first MMOs that have ever come out. I believe Maple Story is in 22, 23 years now. World of Warcraft is 21 years. BDO, Black Desert, is a 10-year. A lot of these MMOs haven't really changed anything or evolved or really adapted to what is today. People like to log in, do a battle, those battle royales, get in a quick match. Within 1 minute, they're shooting somebody. Next match comes in, Marvel Rivals, Overwatch. People want that dopamine that you get instant gratification. And you don't really get that in MMOs. In order for you to get that sort of dopamine release in MMOs, it's such a long drawn out process that you have to do 1 month of grinding, so then you can be like, oh my god, I just got a great upgrade, and then it feels good for a little bit, but then it goes away. MMOs are just not keeping up with the demand of like faster paced dopamine release. And the moment an MMO comes out and delivers this, it's going to be a great MMO. I don't even know if it would even be considered an MMO at that point. It might just be like a mix of genres, which I've always said. The future of MMOs, if there is a developer that can crack this, is an ARPG fusion with an MMO. An MMORPG. These will be like so good. Like, I don't think it's ever been done. Where you just log in through a new season and you just immediately start getting these like this dopamine sensory going off, loot after loot after loot, dropping a loot heavy game with like great progression, a fast progression. I think that's really the future of MMOs. ArcAge is coming out. We don't really have a lot of information about that, but just to quickly go back on the PvP, ArcAge has officially announced that they're going to focus more on PvE for ArcAge instead of PvP. Same thing with Aeon 2. Aeon 2 is going to focus more on PvE. Again, I told you, PvP on MMOs is just not it. It's just not going to happen. These MMOs that were like ArcAge were mostly seen as the PvP MMO. Even that MMO, I believe I read a report not too long ago where they were going to focus more on PvE. Chrono Odyssey is one of my favorite MMOs I'm looking forward to, and I will be playing that and streaming that, and I will be having a community guild in case you guys wanted to hang out for that. Chrono Odyssey is the only MMO out of all of these that have really sparked my interest. I have a really good suspicion that the game is not only going to look well, but play extremely well. So I'm really looking forward to that. I believe that is also going to have PvP enabled, but I think it's going to be very optional. Blue Protocol is a game that's been canceled already once and picked up again by Tencent. I'm really looking forward to this. I don't expect for me to last more than a week to 3 weeks max on Blue Protocol. Same thing with Aeon 2. Aeon 2 is a game that is being released in Korea first, so that's I don't think games like that have a bright future anymore. I think the West really dislikes the fact that Korea gets or Japan gets their MMO updates like 6 months in advance. That is something that is not very preferred by people in the West. So I don't think Aeon is really going to succeed. I'm gonna be honest. It's coming out in Korea first, and then we're most likely always going to be behind and on updates for Aeon 2. I don't consider that game to be really great. And Ashes of Creation, first of all, when is this game actually going to come out? I doubt that this game is coming out in 2025, doubt 2026, 2027. By the time this game comes out, which is probably 2027 or 2028, the game is extremely outdated right now. As we speak, this game looks horrible, and it's only going to continue to show signs of age. I just don't think Ashes of Creation is going to... I mean, maybe there's some people that still want to play an old-looking game like old school RuneScape, and there are those people, but I don't think it's going to reach a larger audience if the game continues to be that aged. Yeah, Scam of Creations. So I don't know. What are your takes on MMOs? Leave down in the comments below. What do you guys think about MMOs? Are you currently playing an MMO? What is your favorite MMO? Hello. Tell me more about that. Yeah, tell me more about your MMOs and your favorite MMOs. Now let's move on to the next topic. Is flirting considered cheating? Is complimenting a neighbor a good thing or a bad thing? And what about watching adult stuff. Is that considered cheating? Well, let's start with flirting. Well, let me set this next piece, okay? And this is the most important one. Is flirting considered cheating? Number one, cheating is subjective from relationship to relationship. Whatever you and your partner have agreed with is what goes on in your relationship. Let no one dictate the way you should live your life and your significant other's life. If you and your significant other have talked about it extensively, that a little light flirting, little this, little that is okay in a relationship, let my influence or somebody else's matter to you at all. Like, it shouldn't matter. That is your relationship. A relationship is between two people, not the whole neighborhood or the whole family. It is between you and your significant other. Let's get that straight and out of the way first and foremost. With that being said, I'm going to give you from my perspective of what I would consider cheating. Is my man, if I had a man, if my man is constantly complimenting a neighbor and saying, man, you look fine today, he better hope that I didn't catch that, because I would be slicing and dicing. As a Latina, I carry a knife with me. And if I ever catch my man telling my neighbor, man, you looking good today, it's over for him. He better not ever come back to the house. I do not play that. That is crazy to be complimenting a neighbor. No, absolutely not. That is disrespectful. I don't consider it cheating, but I consider it tasteless and disrespectful. No way, no shot are you gonna seriously be complimenting a neighbor while you're in a relationship with me. No, that doesn't work. It'd be like if I told the guy, damn, Rodrigo, you're looking real nice. Your sack is really voluptuous today. Maybe I'm exaggerating on the voluptuous and the sack part, but no, it wouldn't look right if a woman was doing that to a guy either. Absolutely not. I definitely consider flirting in my relationship a no-go. To those extremes. But let's say that the extreme is not that bad and my boyfriend, husband is walking out of the door and the neighbor is too at the same time, and he just says, hey Melinda, hope your day goes well. That's not flirting. That's just genuinely having a nice conversation and trying to be a polite neighbor. That's totally fine. I'm okay with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think honestly, if you do have a bit of a problem with that, I do think there's a little bit of an insecurity there. If you're a chick watching this, or if you're a guy and you kind of have an issue with your partner just being nice to somebody else, we need to check something in ourselves, because you shouldn't have those strong feelings. Why do you feel a certain type of way when your man or your woman is just saying hello? There is something wrong, something happened in the relationship. There's trust that is broken. There's some insecurities. There's something that needs to be worked out. That is not normal behavior. So complimenting a neighbor depends on the extreme, could be bad. But I do think there's an underlying issue here. If you are getting agitated with a simple discussion or a simple hello, I think there's something else there. What about watching porn? Is watching adult content considered cheating? Again, I think it depends on your relationship and your communication levels with your significant other. And I definitely do think that this needs to be communicated with your significant other. I can see why people would consider that a bad thing. Maybe cheating, not so much, but maybe a rude thing. I can see why some people would see it that way. Do I see it that way? Not really. Maybe because I kind of expect people to be, horny. And I kind of expect my significant other to sometimes be in the mood and then just open up a browser or his phone. I don't really think that there's anything wrong with that. But I can see why somebody would feel a little bit betrayed or maybe find it a little bit rude, because it's that intimacy that you expect from your partner. And maybe your libidos aren't synced, and your significant other is using that opportunity that he could be using with you to do something else. Because let's be honest with you. Let's be honest. If somebody is watching adult content, they're doing it for a reason. It's not because they just like to see tattoos on a naked body. If they're watching it, it's because they're feeling a certain way, and it's probably going to lead to release. Let's not play dumb. And if you're not watching adult content for the act of release, then you might be addicted to something. You might be chronically addicted to it, and you need to get that checked out. But the point of adult content is for the release. So let's not play dumb. People who watch this is for releasing purposes. So if you're releasing without your partner, it could feel a little bit of a letdown. Because I'll give an example. For me, say I'm in a relationship and I'm watching Prawn and I'm feeling a certain type of way and I'm about to release, right? Then I might not feel like doing it again with my partner. And I've just wasted that, in quotation, special moment that I could have had with my partner. Instead, I did it on my own. So it starts building this this weird, unbalanced synchronization of libido. So it could feel like your partner is feeling betrayed a little bit. So I totally get why people might feel that way about adult content. I could see it, and I don't necessarily blame them. I just think there needs to be more communication if that is the point. I think you need to start communicating with your significant other and talking about your do's and don'ts and what you like and how you feel. I think that is very important. And yeah, and whatever you and your significant other come up with, it's the right solution, because that's what you guys want for your relationship. For my relationship, I wouldn't mind. I would like to know, though. Hold up. It's not that I would like to know, but I wouldn't like to be... I wouldn't want to believe one thing and then be... I guess... disillusioned. I wouldn't want to be blindsided. You know, like if I'm reaching out to go get his phone, because I lost my phone. So I'm trying to call my phone, and I pick up his phone and there's like all this like prawn on there. I would be like, ooh, wait, what is this? Is my man really like this? You know, I wouldn't want to be like shocked like that. You know, so I would like if maybe there was, I kind of knew about it in a way. I don't think I would get, I know that I wouldn't get mad. But I would just I wouldn't want to get blindsided by thinking something and then it's a completely different thing. That's all. I don't consider it cheating, though. Let's do another topic. Let's do it. Speaking of, I was going to leave this topic for tomorrow, but I think it kind of is in line with this last topic. Is it okay for your significant other to go through your phone? Is it a good enough reason to break up with them? Ooh, that's a good one, because a lot of people feel weird about this one. I'm going to talk to you from my perspective first, and then I would talk about you, or try to like talk about from the perspective of other people, outsiders. So, I have a phone. And my phone is locked. It's password and fingerprint locked. The only reason why I have password and fingerprint locked is because in case I lose my phone, and it'll be harder for somebody to just immediately break into my phone. And since I am a streamer and this is my job, it would be really bad if my nudes leaked, you know? I wouldn't want that. Not that I have many nudes on my phone, you know, but, you know, sometimes you gotta check yourself, you know? Maybe you got a little rash somewhere, and I wouldn't want my stuff out there, especially because I'm a little bit of a public person. So that's why I have my stuff locked. if I wasn't a streamer, and if I wasn't like a little public figure, not that I think too highly of myself, first and foremost. That sounds really cringe for me, even going down this territory. But yeah, I just, you know, you just never know. I don't want that stuff to like haunt me somewhere. And if I didn't do none of this though, and I lived with a boyfriend or a husband, would my phone be locked? No, my phone would not be locked. I don't have anything to hide at all. And I don't care if my man picks up my phone and decides to watch YouTube on my phone, or TikTok, or Instagram, or whatever is on my phone. I have no reason to hide anything. I have no reason to feel shocked or scared. I'm gonna be honest, one of the worst things you can do in a relationship is jump at the sight of somebody grabbing your phone. Like, that is one of the worst things you can do, live by. That is so crazy to me that there are some people that jump, heart skips when their significant other reaches for their phone. That is cringe to, like, I find that extremely cringe. If you are flinching, if your heart is stopping because your significant other is trying to go pick up your phone, that is weird. Like, what are you trying to hide? So I think that's weird. I would not feel that way about my phone. Yeah, no, that's just weird. I can't even imagine living a relationship like that. That's just weird. But say that my significant other is reaching out to get my phone because he is worried or suspect that I'm cheating. I think we need to talk. If you don't trust me, if your insecurities are flaring up, we need to talk. This is a bigger sign of something else happening. Did I do something wrong? Did I look at a man's sack in front of you and it made you jealous and you feel insecure? We need to talk about that moment. We need to talk about what is making you feel insecure, what is making your heart skip. We need to talk about it. We need to squash it. And if it takes me giving you my phone for a whole month straight so you can kind of cleanse yourself of any doubt, I would gladly do it. But we need to fix the problem. If this is a problem that persists for a whole year in our relationship to 2 years, I am breaking up with you. I don't have time to fix you. You need to fix your problems. If I've already done my due diligence to try to communicate this and fix the issues in our relationship, I am not going to live a hell of a relationship because of your insecurities. If I have done everything I can, bent over backwards, and you still have issues, you need to seek professional help because your insecurities shouldn't be my problem. After a certain time, after a certain time, and you're still experiencing this, you're only making us live a miserable relationship. And that is not fair for me. That is not fair for you or anybody else involved in the relationship. That is something that is bubbling underneath the surface. That is something that you need to look out. I would go with you through therapy if you need it, but we need to fix that because that is not normal. That is only going to fester, and it's going to be there for 3 years. It's going to be there for 4 years and 6 years of a miserable, unsatisfied, weird, sus relationship. So, though I don't think is a good enough reason to break up with your significant other if they're going through my phone. No, because I have nothing to hide. I would hope that I've already communicated everything to my man. Even if I am watching adult content on my phone, I hope that my man would already know that I've been burning the midnight oil without him and while watching something. I would hope that he already knows. So I don't really have anything that I'm incredibly sus about or hiding from my man. I think a relationship should have open communication about everything. So that's how I feel about that one. I don't necessarily have a problem with my man checking my phone. I don't think it's a good enough reason to break up. And I do think that if you do have a problem with your significant other going through your phone, maybe you're hiding something. Not necessarily always the case. But what are you so afraid of that your significant other is picking up your phone? I can see it if it's a pattern and a habit of like years down the line, they're still doing that, then that could be annoying and you can break up with somebody over that. But like if it just happens once, twice, or a couple of times, I don't think that's a good enough reason. But hey, that's your relationship and you guys handle it however you want. I think maybe communication is a better way. If you really cared about your significant other, maybe start speaking up about it and having that communication. Yeah. So these are all the topics we have for discussion today. Maybe a shorter video today, and we could discuss this in greater length tomorrow, maybe a longer video tomorrow. Tomorrow's topics will be anti-woke versus woke. Today's society, in video games especially, where we have the woke crowd and then we have the super anti-woke crowd. Where does Elly stand? Well, if you hang in tomorrow, we can discuss this and you know where my position is here. And does bullying work? Does bullying someone who is fat work? Or is it just bad? Or which is the best way to approach telling somebody something? Yeah. So if you like these videos, maybe check out the first part and the next part that's coming tomorrow. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Hey, I kind of need a little bit of help. How about you help me out? Hit that follow, subscription button, all the good stuff. Yeah, comment and like, possibly, maybe. Please.